Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business. I am here for part 2 with Dr. Kirk Elliott of Sovereign Advisors. And if you missed part 1, do make sure you get it. It was really, really good. He dropped some bombs, but more importantly, he told us his story. He shared his heart, and he shared why the people over profit has really served him well. And that's how he really blends his spirituality into his business. So make sure that you guys do see part 1 on spiritcenteredbusiness.com/podcast, or just click the podcast button, however you want to get there. If you missed it, because you do want to see it. Now, welcome back, Dr. Kirk. Thank you so much for just being you. That part 1 was amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad you liked it. You know, it's like, I totally came in unprepared. I didn't even know what you wanted to talk to me about. It's like, I'm just going to talk, because I don't do good with notes. I don't do good with scripts. I just talk. And so I am thankful that you liked it, because I was just talking from the heart. so that makes me feel good.
It was perfect. It was perfect. I'm so unscripted. These guys know I fly by the seat of my pants and stuff comes flying out of my mouth. Like, did I just say that? I didn't even know that.
Awesome. Yeah. Birds of a feather. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So, okay. I hinted at it at the beginning of part 1 that we were going to talk about buying gold and silver, but I really want you to focus on that, why it's important. And also the really cool thing that I've been having conversations with my peeps about is the spiritual aspects of gold. Like, what does gold represent in the spirit realm, and why, Father literally says, buy gold from my treasury. So I'm just going to let you go on about gold and silver, either in the physical or in the natural, both, whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with the spiritual, right? Because that's an easy one. Heaven's got streets of gold, right? The Father's heart, there's gold dust, gold, everything in it. And there's a saying that we say a lot when we're trying to pull the good out of people, right? It's like, no, we've got to get people to not believe that they're made as junk. God doesn't make junk.
Right.
We're created in his image. And so we always use that phrase, well, let's pull the gold out of them, right? You were saying something right before this show about the gold in the Father's heart. And I want you to repeat that, because you said it so eloquent. And there's no way that I could ever repeat that the way that you said it, because it was amazing.
Oh,
but what did you say? What did you say about gold coming out of the Father's heart?
Well, yeah, we've had conversations lately about that we come out of Father's heart, and in Father is gold. He's love, he's light. I mean, the purest thing that they talk about in the Bible is gold, and he is the absolute top of purity. I mean, it's beyond, right? Pure,
right?
The very meaning of the word. And so that gold is literally what we're made out of, because he pulled us out of his heart. And so that's why gold is so treasured and so valuable.
Yeah. And that's amazing, because that's that internal component of what gold is. And so what I'm going to talk about, though, is what the external component of what gold is. And so I'm a student of history. I'm a student of economics and the markets and finance and how politics and economics interplay with each other. And you know what, with all of that, I'm a firm believer there is no such thing as a bad investment. There's just bad timing for investments, right? So I'm going to get a little bit political, and I'm going to get a little bit economics here with everybody.
This is Spirit-Centered Business. We got
awesome.
We're good.
So there's one thing in particular that drives a company's business success or failure, or individual success or failure, more than anything, and that's the interest rate cycle. Okay. So why is that? Well, it's because, in Proverbs, it tells us a borrower is a slave to the lender, right? So if you had no debt, would you care if interest rates were 20 or 30%? No, it doesn't really affect you at all. If you're in debt up to your eyeballs, do you care? It's like, oh yeah, you better care, right? And so So there's a term called normalcy bias. And I'm going to put all these little puzzle pieces together, and it's going to paint a pretty cool picture here for everybody. But normalcy bias means, hey, it didn't happen in the past, and so therefore it's not going to happen now. So people think, well, interest rates have been coming down since 1983. They've been coming down, literally since 1983. All of your viewers out there, if they're old enough and they can remember buying a house in the early 1980s, it was like an 18% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage. 18%.
Wow.
Ridiculous, right? And so this came off the late 70s. So the Carter years during the late 70s, I'm sorry, everybody, if you like President Carter, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, because he was the worst economic president since the Great Depression. I mean, it was awful. You had interest rates that were 18%. The highest income tax bracket was 90% in the late 70s, not 19.
Are you kidding me?
90. It's
I did not know that.
Russia. This is America, for crying out loud. And so then you had this huge recession. There was an oil crisis. There was rationing at the pumps. People were like waiting in line for gas. And so nobody was working. It's like, what? And then Reagan decided to run for president. It's like, why? Why would you want to inherit this quagmire and this hornet's nest, quite honestly? Well, he had an idea to fix it, right? I wouldn't want that. I mean, I think I'm a relatively smart guy from time to time. It's like, I can't fix that. Let's pack it up and move to Canada. It's got to be better.
Right.
Socialism.
I'm out. Check, please.
Check out. No. So anyways, Reagan came in, beat Carter. I'm embarrassed. Embarrassed. I was born in Minnesota. So I grew up. All my family still lives there. Minnesota was the only state in 1980 that didn't vote for Reagan. He won 49 states except for Minnesota. So,
yeah, that's a bit of shame attached to that.
There you have it.
There you have it. Okay, it's out now.
It's really unfortunate.
We can move on.
Yeah, we did move on. We moved on quite nicely. So anyways, he came in and he said, okay, America, I'm going to fix this thing. And how am I going to do it? Well, you got to lower interest rates, because Americans do one thing better than anybody else on the planet. We spend money. So if you lower interest rates, it's the same as increasing their bottom line, and we will spend. Whether that's a great legacy to leave for the next generation or not, it's another story. Point is, we spend. So lowering interest rates will do what? It'll cause people to spend more, and when they spend more, corporate America becomes more profitable. And that happens, the price to earnings ratios change in the stock market. When that happens, the stock market booms, right? Okay, so that ultimately kind of fixed the stock market, but he wanted to accelerate that. So he started lowering taxes, income taxes, property taxes, capital gains taxes, estate taxes, corporate taxes. All these taxes started coming down. Mm-hmm. Well, now he created a framework for success that lasted for like 20 years. So that increased people's take-home pay while their bottom line was coming down. So it's like, oh my word, this is amazing. So people would really spend, but when interest rates come down, the value of bonds goes up. As interest rates go up, the value of bonds comes down, right? So it's an inverse relationship. So interest rates were coming down. The bond market was a phenomenal investment from 1983 until 2021. Because interest rates have been coming down that whole time. People don't realize the bond market. And if you want to sell a bond, sell it now. If you still have bonds, get rid of them yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, because the value of bonds is sky high when interest rates are close to zero. They can't get any higher. It's an inverse relationship. So the closer rates are to zero, the higher the price of the bond is going to be, right? So therefore, there hasn't been a time in the history of America to sell a bond at a better price, or current or in future America. This is one of those weird times because we're so close to zero that there is not a better time. And if our goal is wise and prudent investors, and to hear the words when we meet Jesus in his fiery eyeballs on Judgment Day, we want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. With you, I am well pleased, right? anything else that comes out of his mouth on that day, we're not ready to hear. we're not ready to hear anything other than that. Could you imagine what else is coming out? It's like, not really too happy with you. It's like, boy, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. With you, I am well pleased. Right. So, I lost my train of thought. So anyways, that's what we want to hear. We want to be wise stewards with what he's been given us. Yeah. So interest rates. Yeah. So this is why we need to sell at a high point. Buy low and sell high. Isn't that what we've always been taught?
Yeah.
Not everything that you're taught in college is right, but that one is buy low and sell high. So that's point number one. Point number two, if you're in debt up to your eyeballs, it shackles you. And as interest rates go up. So here's the scary part about this situation right now. Interest rates are close to zero. Most of America is living hand to mouth. We're 1 to 2 paychecks away from bankruptcy. We become like normalcy bias. Remember, we become creatures to the past in our present and things. That's the way they've always been. Interest rates have always been coming down. That's all that we know for the last 38 years. If you're less than 38 years old and watching this podcast, all you've known is declining interest rates. That's it. Well, what happens when interest rates go up? Your cost of debt service goes up. Your cost of everything goes up. So people aren't used to that. The bond market gets shellacked. It's over for a couple of decades. That's why you got to get rid of your bonds, because interest rate cycles are on average 28 years long. So you got to get rid of them, because we're in for a rising interest rate cycle, probably a couple of decades on average.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine this. So what else is that going to mean for real estate? People don't pay cash for houses. They finance houses. So therefore, as rates go up, the value of housing has to come down for it to become equally affordable. This is why the real estate market boomed during those Reagan years. For the last 38 years, real estate has been killer, amazing, awesome, because rates have been coming down. So therefore, the price of houses could keep going up and up and up and up and up, because the cost of borrowing was down and people could afford more.
Well, except in 2008.
That was, but the overall trend has been up for 38 years. There's nothing goes straight up, nothing comes straight down. That's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
I see.
That 08, 09
yeah,
was a doozy. that was a big step back
for
real estate, the stock market. But did we rebound? Sure we did.
Yeah.
Real estate prices are sky high. The stock market's at an all-time high. So everything rebounds, everything comes back. Mm-hmm. But the point is, that was all during a declining interest rate cycle. Now that interest rates are going to be going up, it's going to be different. People are going to, it's a paradigm shift. It's a fundamental shift in the economy that neither you nor I can control. And so we have to adapt to it. If we don't adapt to it, it'll take us, right? So I'd rather take advantage of that trend rather than the trend take advantage of us. So there's things that we can do to do that. So during the Reagan years and into the Bush years and into the Clinton years, nothing really changed. Okay. It was booming economy for all 3 presidents. I would have invested in stocks because that's what was booming. What did gold and silver do during that time? In 1982, gold was $250 an ounce. In 2002, it was $258. It went up $8 in 20 years. That's stinky. It's horrible. Yeah. While the stock market was booming. But you have to fast forward to today. Mm-hmm. What are the fundamental changes here? And this is where I want to impart wisdom and knowledge and understanding into the hearts and minds of your viewers, because this is how when we apply that to our own lives, we can hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, with you I'm well pleased. You're not the wicked servant, not just a bad or a dumb servant. You're the wicked servant that buried your talents in the sand because you were afraid to do anything. You know, there's always an element of risk, but I'm going to get into that element of risk because I don't think the same as most people on risk. So I'll get into that. But when you look at those fundamentals, interest rates coming down, where are we now? Interest rates are about as low as they can go. They can only go up. Okay, that's different. Taxes were coming down. Taxes are medium right now and going up under a Biden administration. Okay. So both are going in the opposite direction. You also have unsustainable debt. We added $4.5 trillion to our national debt last year, just at the federal level. What about individuals and corporate America and everything else? It's unsustainable. Then during the 80s, remember you had politically, it was dynamic and amazing. And Reagan won the Cold War against Russia. The Berlin Wall came down. Newt Gingrich had the contract with America, and Democrats and Republicans were talking and cutting deals. It's like, what? Why can't that happen today? Well, if you listen to my first episode I did with you, it's because we're all focused on how we're different, not what we have in common, right?
Right.
And so that political chaos and uncertainty and turbulence and turmoil and change causes gold to go up and silver to go up. So that's why it didn't do anything in the 80s and 90s, because it was stable. It was political peace for the most part. So when I look at the price of gold, here's one little simple barometer that I use. If the people of America think that the government can fix what ails society, the price of gold will stay low. If they think that government is going to break things more, gold will go up. I mean, it's almost that fundamentally simple, because that brings in economics, it brings in politics, it brings in social climate, it brings in all of that. And so that's where I start to blend different things. So as a wealth manager, I do look at things differently. I will never advise more than 2 years down the road, because every 2 years we get a change in Congress. With a change in Congress, you get a change in legislative actions. You get a change in monetary policy, fiscal policy. And so when there's a change, you can't think in terms of the future change, because you don't know what it is.
Right.
It's like too many what ifs. Just one what if when you're advising a client on their retirement portfolio is one what if too many, because that means there's a 50-50 chance of the outcome, right? I don't want to advise somebody on a 50-50 chance. It's like, I want to advise on certainty. So how do I do that? With the trend that's right in front of us right now, right underneath our nose, because there's no speculation involved. Hey, here's a trend. This is why it's moving, and it is moving. So therefore, we just allocate into it. I don't care if it lasts 1 month, 3 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years. I don't care. The duration to me absolutely makes no difference, because if we're allocated into it and it's growing, just take advantage of it. That's very little risk in that, because you don't have to speculate. It's happening. It is right there under our nose, and you don't have to think about it, right? So as you do that, this is where one of my things that I do is I want to maximize return while minimizing risk. Maximize return while minimizing risk. If you don't have both of those, it's not good. Okay. So I could say, hey, Kirk, I want to maximize return. Okay. Go into Bitcoin. That's a good way to maximize return, right? However, you're maximizing your risk too. It's like, oh, it doesn't fit the bill for me at all. Well, what if I want to minimize my risk? Okay. Go into a CD. Stable 1%. Oh, but you're falling behind to inflation at least 5% every year, because unofficially inflation's at 6%. So, but I've minimized risk, I suppose, except I've guaranteed a loss, but I'm not maximizing my return.
Yeah.
So I need to maximize my return and minimize my risk at the same time, or else it doesn't qualify as a good investment. So what is that right now? Anything that outpaces unofficial inflation is good. When the trend is right in front of us, that means you've minimized your risk, because you don't have to think about it. The trend is the trend, and you're just allocating into it. To me, that's gold and silver for right now. I mean, gold is up like 30% last year. Silver is up over 40% last year. These are amazing numbers, and you don't have to think about them. The trend is still happening. So what are the triggers that cause those trends? Well, unsustainable debt, an expectation of a turnaround in the interest rate cycle. Oh, it's no longer an expectation. The interest rate cycle changed a few weeks ago, and it's now moving up. Political uncertainty, turmoil, chaos, change. All of that's in front of us. And inflationary pressures. All of those things are the triggers that cause gold and silver to move up. Have any of them changed? Nope. Therefore, the trend won't change either. See, if you can understand, pull the covers off, look under the covers and say, what makes this chart look like a chart? Because most advisors will do something like this. And they'll say, hey, you got to buy Apple. You got to buy Tesla. You got to buy Google. Look at this chart. It's going up and you got to participate in it. Well, why is it going up? Why is the chart going up? Well, they don't know. They just participate in the chart. But if you can look under the covers and figure out the mechanics of it, what was the legislative action, the monetary policy, the fiscal policy, the managerial decision that caused the chart to look like the chart? Okay, now I've stripped all emotion out of my decision and I'm like a robot. It's like, this is why it's easy for me. It's like, I'm a robot when it comes to these kind of decisions because I've investigated it and it's like, okay, I understand why. It's either it makes sense or it doesn't. Easy for me, hard for investors, because most investors, when it's your own money, what are the two primary motivators? Greed and fear.
Yeah.
When you have greed and fear that guide your decision-making process, you're going to make the wrong decision. Neither one of those are positive stimuluses, right? It's like greed or fear. I was like, both of them are negative words. But that's what most people are motivated by with their finances. So when Amy and I come along and we'll partner with you on that, we strip away that emotion and we act like robots. We're in an emotional world. I'm emotional with people. Good grief, I'll cry with them. I'll celebrate. I'll mourn. I do life with people, right? I live for other people. I view other people as more important than myself. However, when it comes to finances, zero emotion, zip. It makes sense or it doesn't. And that's where we make great partners with people, because it's not my decision. It's yours. It's your money to be a wise steward with, but I'm going to help you make that decision. And here's where, truly, honestly, I don't even think it's your money. It's God's money. And if everybody on the planet would view their money, other people's money, as God's money, it would be a completely different world, but it's not. Good grief. For some weird reason, some people don't even believe in God. So obviously not everybody can view other people's assets as God's money, but it's how I believe it. Yeah. And this is why we act the way that we act with when I first started in this industry, my third client ever as a kid was this 92-year-old lady. She was from Manhattan and got some $10,000 in from her. And I said, hey, what do you want me to do with your money? And she said, young man, she said, why are you asking me? It's not my money. It's God's money. You're going to have to look at Jesus on Judgment Day and answer to him for what you did with it. So if you're good with that, then go ahead and do whatever you want. And it's like that message from her defined my career. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to a young punk right out of grad school who thought I knew everything, to realize, this is God's money, and I'm going to have to answer to Jesus for everything I do, my thoughts, my motives, my actions, my deeds, everything, right? Wow. And this lady reminded me of it in every single transaction I've ever had, thousands of transactions later, tens of thousands probably. Yeah. I remember that. And it's guided me every step. Little old lady, 92-year-old lady with more wisdom in one sentence than anything that I could have ever heard at that moment. It's amazing. You just have to have ears to hear that kind of stuff, right? So why gold and silver right now? Because we've got political strife, turmoil. We've got this amazing trend line that allows us to maximize our return and minimize our risk because of the economics, the politics, the social interplay that's all happening. It all points to gold and silver right now, but not forever. It won't nothing last forever. Just like the stock market didn't boom forever. Everything goes through peaks and valleys. And we just have to have the wisdom and discernment and understanding and knowledge to get in at the right time, to get out at the right time. And that's what we help clients do. Just like we helped you, it's time to get in. And when it's time to get out, we're going to let you know it's time to get out. Because I'm not a gold guy, I'm not a silver guy, I'm not a stock guy or bond guy, but yet I'm all of them. It just depends on the time and place. Ecclesiastes tells us there's a time and a place for everything. And there is, and there's nothing new under the sun. And once you understand the dynamics that cause certain trends to happen, you can be in the right place at the right time. And that's what we do.
Awesome. Very good. So people can go to sovereignadvisors.com. And I will definitely put it in the show notes.
Sovereignadvisors.net.
Excuse me, .net.
You got it.
And I will put it in the show notes correctly. and get a hold of you guys. And, like I said in the last show, I called them up. We had a great conversation, and I really felt comfortable with what Dr. Kirk was saying. And like, I told him what's going on in my, I had multiple IRAs and multiple, all of these different accounts, and we kind of consolidated some stuff, and it was really good, you guys. I would definitely, even if you don't do like I did and kind of go all in on gold and silver at this moment, because I just trust him that he'll tell me, okay, it's time to get out. Okay, so now it's time to go back into whatever's the next thing that's the right investment. So even if you don't do that, you guys, just to have the conversation that he can direct you, and like he said, he will make you understand the reasons why you want to make the correct decision. So it's your decision, but I would definitely give Sovereign Advisors a call, and Dr. Kirk, and definitely take a look at what's going on in the world. And we know that it's chaos. And like he said, when it's chaos out there, the gold and the silver are the right place to be. And the spiritual side of it, Dr. Kirk, right now, God is showing up huge, and he's opening up revelation of the spirit realm. He's giving us downloads of just amazing things. Just we're calling for like open heaven kind of interaction with the spirit realm, and gold is always a part of all of that. Like, even you worked with people at Bethel, and they were seeing like clouds of gold. I mean, gold is a thing in the Bible. Like God shows up in gold. So I really feel like that's also another indicator that we're supposed to be buying the gold, because he tells us to buy gold from his treasury and store up our riches in heaven. So we do that. But I also feel like there's a physical component of do it here on earth as well. Yeah.
100%. Very well said.
Yeah. Okay. So in these last few moments, do you have anything else that's on your heart to share? And you've got so much, you wrote so many books, there's so many things you could share. What's kind of percolating right now?
Kind of what we talked about it just a little bit. God doesn't create junk, right? He creates people in his own image. So we weren't created with a spirit of fear. We were created with a sound mind and discernment and wisdom to make good decisions at good times. And we were created with free will, so we can make bad decisions at bad times, right? So
I've never done that.
I don't even know what I'm talking about here. I haven't either. So I never make bad decisions, right? Jeez. Yeah.
We're humble.
So with that, we know that we weren't created to just survive. We don't have to settle for surviving. We were created to thrive. And so with that, though, sometimes, I mean, hear the right voices, right? Like the three voices that I always hear.
Yeah.
You have to know the right one to listen to, right? So we were created to thrive. And sometimes that's just us digging in, moving forward, blazing forward, regardless of the circumstances in your life, and make a difference in other people's lives. If you, like with my companies, I want to be known as not just as a giver, but as an extravagant giver. That's what I want my legacy to be. When people remember me, when I'm 6 feet under, it's like, he was an extravagant giver. He never stopped, right? That's how I want people to remember me, Kirk. And this is the model that was given in the Bible. God gave his son gave his life. And so we need to model that in our finances, in our time, in our energy, in our thoughts, in what we do for other people, and how we're always giving encouraging words, right? And we never tear anybody down. We build them up. We build them up. And if we can do that, the world will change one person at a time all around us. But this is all part of thriving, right? It's not just you. You're not an island in and of yourself. You're part of this other group. So if we can build everybody up around us, then we can thrive. We truly can, and the world will be a much better place. Also in that thriving, sometimes you can't do it alone. You need a team.
Absolutely.
right?
We're not created to do things alone. Yeah.
No, we're created to do things in community. And this is where like at our financial advisory firm at Sovereign Advisors, we come alongside you and partner with you to help take away that financial anxiety. Like, look, we are here to help you grow your portfolios. You're there to fund your portfolios. So when we can take on that extra piece, it's like, I can't grow it, I can't fund it and grow it at the same time. It's like, well, let us grow it. I mean, you've got other things to do. You've got kids that are going crazy. You've got pets everywhere. You've got your layoffs at your job. Life is chaos. You're going and got 2 and 3 jobs and things are just chaotic and messy and nasty. It's like this one thing, you can thrive if you focus on it as a team, right? And so there's certain people that are gifted for certain things. It's like, you know what? Don't ask me to fix a car. I'll probably break it.
Oh dear.
Don't ask me to paint the ceiling either, because I might poop myself when I get too high on the ladder. I mean, I'm afraid of heights, all right? But I'm not afraid of people. Obviously, I'm doing stuff with gang members out. I'm not afraid of people. People are my thing. So but there's that. What point is, we're all gifted for certain things. And once we understand that and we can stay in our own lane, the sky's the limit and you can thrive. So that's what I want to leave everyone with.
That's really, really good. And what was coming to me earlier and then came back again, I think we need to do another show at some point in the future about the poverty mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're clearly have overcome that. If you can like have the no emotion attached to money and you know that it's God's. And so you could probably teach something on that to my peeps. But we'll leave that for a different time. I love what you just said, though. This is the perfect way. And so you guys, please share this out. Please subscribe to the channel, Spirit Centered Business. Do go to sovereignadvisors.net and check them out. Even if you already have a financial advisor, you know what? If they're not contacting you and telling you when you should move your money into this or move your money out of that or whatever like that, they're probably not operating with people before profits like Kirk and his team are, right? Would you agree with that, Dr. Kirk?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So exactly. So make sure that you do check them out. And let's see, one more announcement, quantum capacity. We're in the middle of it. We're having such a great time and Dr. Kirk is teaching in it. I'm so excited for that. And if you guys missed the launch date for this, then there will be another quantum capacity coming up so that we can build the structures inside of us to be able to handle this wealth transfer. So our business is the portal that God brings that, the transfer of the wealth from the wicked to the wise, right? So that we can build the kingdom and do the things like Dr. Kirk is doing. We didn't even talk about Verabella. Oh, okay. Well, you guys make sure that you go back to episode 1 part 1, because that was we talked a little bit about it, right? But we have to be able to handle what God wants to entrust us with. And in order for us to do that, we've got to build our internal world. And that's what quantum capacity is all about, that Dr. Kirk's teaching on. And another episode or another session of quantum capacity will be coming up, so you guys won't miss it. Just check out spiritcenteredbusiness.com. Okay, I think I am done. I am ready to land this plane. Thank you again, Dr. Kirk. I so appreciate your time and your wisdom. This has been really, really terrific. It's such an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's great being with you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And I look forward to doing that other show on poverty mindset. That'd be an easy one. I'd love to do that with you.
Cool. Very good. All right, you guys, until next time, stay spirit centered. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.